Driving from the airport to Oklahoma City and then just being indoors and outdoors and talking to people just made me think, what is it like to live out life under this vast sky that at a short notice could bring totally different weather? To live under this huge sky with rapidly changing weather that can so change your life seemed to be one of the salient characteristics of living in Oklahoma City. When they're just walking down the hall, overhead the art piece is essentially playing video NOAA footage of weather from this historical footage from this region. That's just the background, that's just clouds drifting across the sky. And there's a bright lit button above the sensor. You press the button, and for a minute the sensor then replaces that NOAA footage with whatever it sees in front of it. So you moving around, there's a little ledge you can set your cell phone. There is a opportunity to get really close to it or back from it. So if you have something that makes light, you can set it right on the ledge. Something like your clothes or your scarf or your mittens or something that reflects light, you want to keep it away a little bit so that the light, the surrounding light, has a chance to bounce off it onto the sensor. And then if you want to keep it going, you just press that button. After a minute it blinks to let you know that it's picking up from the sensor. I wanted to build in this interactive control that would let you feel like as you wave your hands over a sensor, it's your hand that's moving those clouds and images across the sky. So I always really respect a human impulse to control and alter, because I think although we talk now about the virtues of respecting and just listening and watching, I think we're fundamentally doers as people. So for this piece in particular, I could see it being a catalyst for a group of people walking through and just experimenting. Like, oh, I have this team logo, or hey, I made this video of flowers in my garden and here it is. I think art both communicates something to people and then it gives them a sphere in which they can communicate with each other. If you go on a date with somebody, you don't just set up two chairs and look across. You go to a movie, there's always a third thing in the room, or you have a meal, so you have something to talk about, or you go to a comedy club or something like that. Art is that third person in the room, or is that object in that room that helps people connect to each other. And you don't see as much of that in the built environment. When you're a kid, you have a playground, but when you're an adult, what do you have? Small talk about the weather is, it's mostly acrylic, and those scales are acrylic. Acrylic and silicone, to a lesser extent, are the two plastics that diffuse light but will also hold up almost indefinitely with UV exposure. So there's little silicone washers that let the scales kind of flow. So it's not just metal on metal. There's little silicone washers between each sheet. All the hardware is stainless steel, and then everything is suspended by stainless steel cable. What you see there is actually thousands of pieces of acrylic that we routed out on our CNC router, modeled on the computer, and then I built a jig, and we had very fastidious assemblers. There are people in our company who really like detailed work. Just screw them together, and the jig made it fast. So they look like continuous smooth strips, and that's what they're intended to be. But just like the air or a cloud is many tiny particles, there are over 2,500 individual plastic and metal parts up there in the ceiling making that effect. The contrast between color and motion and an underground cement tunnel in a parking garage is part of what makes it work, I think. It's the difference between the environment and what you put in it.